You're probably tuning into this because you watched last week's video. If you did, you'll know I cut the video into two parts, so this is part number 2. If you missed part number 1, it looks like this, and I will link it up in the cards so you can watch that one first. So, sorry for leaving you on that cliffhanger from last week, huh? Whatever were you doing without the financial knowledge from part 2? Well, we all know that you weren't totally lost, but if you were fired up and ready to let out your financial rock star, didn't think I'd bring that one back, did you? Then, here are the next skills that you need to master. So, getting right into it, skill number 4 is to know your savings rate. Have you ever heard the advice, pay yourself first? If you have, you'll probably know that it refers to savings. You always want to be paying yourself or saving before you pay others. Now, this obviously isn't like save instead of paying your bills, but it's more saying make savings a priority. You want to make sure you have the money to actually do the things that you want, to live comfortably and take care of yourself and the people that you have around you. So, how do you make sure that you are doing this? By knowing your savings rate. Your savings rate is the percentage of income that you're keeping versus the income that you're spending. So, for example, if you have an income of $4,000 a month and you spend $3,200 of it, this would leave $800. And $800 is 20% of $4,000, so therefore your savings rate is 20%. And this is generally what you want to aim for. It's pretty widely accepted in the personal finance world that 20% is a good number to start with for responsible money management, which of course is what this video is teaching you about. But my personal opinion and what I tell my clients is this: your savings rate should be whatever you want it to be. I do think that you need to be saving. I do think that you need to think about the larger picture of things, including big purchases like houses or cars or travel. And I do think that you need to be thinking about retirement and what you actually want your future life to look like. And all of those things need to factor into your savings rate. But if you're going through lots of debt payoff or other major expenses or taking up a lot of your income, this rate may be a little lower, and that's okay too. Some people can only manage a 5 or 10% savings rate to start, and you shouldn't feel bad about where you're starting from, as long as you're thinking about your future, if you're informed, aware, and happy with the choices that you're making around your finances. On the other hand, if you really have grand dreams of making big purchases or having a great retirement, even if you just happen to have lower expenses and are like saving a lot more, your savings rate might be a lot larger than that. When I started my financial journey, I did it at 30% instead of 20%. And when I started saving for entrepreneurship, I ramped it all the way up to 50% to reach my goals. The point here is to know what that number actually is and to understand, again, how it's fitting in with the rest of your financial life. If your savings rate is too low or non-existent, but you want to make a big purchase in the future, you're not going to get there, and you have to realize that. You want to be actively prepared and planning for your future, so you know that you're going to reach the financial dreams that you want to. All right, skill number 5 is to stay on track. When you suddenly get an influx of money, it can be really tempting. A tax refund, a bonus at work, a new job altogether. If your income has suddenly skyrocketed, it can be hard to hold yourself back from creating that dream life that you suddenly have the ability to afford. But we have to make sure that we're not undoing all of the work that we just did on our finances. What I'm talking about is called lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep happens when you're changing your spending the moment that you get a new job, so that you're constantly living in the same situation as you were before. If you were living paycheck to paycheck in your old job but got a new one with a much better salary, instead of using that to get ahead, sometimes we can change our spending habits to kind of be more luxurious to fit that new lifestyle. And sometimes it can happen without us even realizing it. We can be okay living off of minimum wage, and then suddenly a day comes where you realize you're making much more than that but still feel like you can't afford anything. When we're in that mindset of like scarcity, we keep things close. We don't spend a lot because we're living without a lot. But when things suddenly switch, you think, oh my gosh, this is so much money, I've become rich. And suddenly it can totally switch to the opposite, where you think you have all the money in the world when you don't really. So to make sure that this doesn't happen, I use the 50-30-20 rule. And if you've never heard of this rule, it's kind of a widely accepted notion in the finance world that is the basis of how to structure a budget. So 50% of your income should go towards essential spending, things like rent, utilities, even like your cell phone bill, since that's pretty essential these days. And 30% of your income can be spent on lifestyle expenses. So things like going to the movies or out for dinner, those like entertainment or variable type spending that you're kind of choosing to make versus things that you kind of have to pay for. And 20% of your income should be saved. You can play around with these numbers a little bit. So it told you in the last tip that I actually started out with 30% savings and 20% lifestyle, but the general like ratio should probably stay the same. So when you get a new salary or an influx of money, just keep that in mind. Make sure you're going through your spending and calculating which expenses fit into what category and recognizing if you're totally off with one of the categories. And this will really help with that lifestyle creep sensation. It will keep you on track with how your income is distributed and create a little bit of structure that you're able to stay within, which can help give you direction. All right, part 2 done. Was it worth the wait? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more of these videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And until next time, I'm wishing you great financial health. Bye. That you're keeping versus the percentage of income that you're spending. Keeping all of this work. Can you please stop, turtle? Huh? Get on your rock. Stay there. If you like this video, don't let me know. If you like this video, don't let me know. Keep it to yourself. Nothing, no lipstick on my teeth.